Welcome to the Clinical Cookout.
Hey now, it's your Auntie Ashley.
What's up? It's your girl, Auntie Shug.
Hey, it's your girl, Auntie Quiche.
Hey y'all, it's Auntie Amber.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. We are qualified clinicians who will cover various topics on mental health and will sometimes provide community resources. We are not being paid by any organization for our content, and any information we provide is general and pertains to our own personal experiences. We do not provide psychotherapy, diagnoses, or treatment recommendations on air. Any concerns related to your individual mental health should be directed to your medical and mental health professionals. We are not responsible for others' decisions or the subsequent consequences.
Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the Clinical Cookout. This week, our theme is teacher appreciation. So we have two very special guests that are going to be on with us, and they will be on for both the hot sauce and the main dish. And they just so happen to hail from Niagara Falls, like me and Auntie Shug, and they just so happen to be our family. So let us bring on Mrs. Ashley Green and Mr. Jarod Renford.
Hey y'all. Welcome to the Clinical Cookout.
Thank you for the invite.
Can y'all briefly introduce yourselves, your job, some things you like to do? Just real brief.
I am Jarod Renford. I am cousins with Ashley and Auntie Shug. I currently stay in Maryland, but I work in DC. This is my 7th year in education. I've taught 1st through 4th grade math currently.
All right. So I also am a cousin-in-law. I don't like to really use that term with both Auntie Ash and Auntie Sukra or Shug. So my background is I worked in various teaching backgrounds. So I did kindergarten. I did a lot of preschool. 1st grade, 5th grade, and then I kind of transitioned and started to work more with the teachers, working more on their growth and development. And now I've transitioned to being a corporate trainer where I train caseworkers. So I train them how to be good caseworkers. So it's all in the same realm of the education world, just in a different capacity.
So Ash, that's like now you do more mental health, right?
Yeah. So we work with people with mental health, with substance use, and people with disabilities, which is, gets into the whole dual diagnosis and all that other good stuff. So, yeah.
Well, it's great to have you two on. We appreciate you being here, and we can't wait to dive into some great stuff. But before we do that, let's start with the hot sauce. So today's hot sauce is about dating, I guess, and who you would date. So from a clip that I saw, it talked about, it was Ayanla. I think that's how you pronounce it. She was on a, I don't know if it was an interview. I'm not sure what was happening, but it was a lady and they were having a conversation about who they would date. And her question to the lady was, would you date the bus driver? And the lady said she would date the owner or whoever owns the bus. And Ayanla's response was, that's the problem with women these days. They want to date people who basically are all about materials. And basically she said we should be dating men about integrity, dating men who treat their mothers well and treat the woman well. We should be dating those type of men. And so I read the comments and people had difference of opinions. So I'm wanting to know, with our guests and with the aunties, what your opinion is.
Can we have both? Like, why should anybody, especially at our ages, have to choose between integrity or stability? Because finance is stability. At this point, we got too many things to take care of in life for me to just be going off potential and integrity. I need it, but I also need stability.
When she said, I'll date the man who owns the bus, does she own the bus?
Exactly.
But does she have to? Does she have to?
That was not okay. Let me put this out there. That was her occupation was not discussed, at least from the clip that I saw. She may be of higher status. I don't know. She looked like a journalist, newscast person. She looks real professional. So I don't know. I don't know what that lady does for a living. That's all I got to put out there. Proceed. I look professional.
I don't know. I don't really see it as saying like we can't have both, but I'm thinking like when I heard that initially, it's more of like what you're searching for. Like you have all these women out here that are like, I want a man with money, I want a man with money, and that's what they're going for. They get the man with money, they get treated like shit, and then now all men suck, right? Then you have, women who are okay with dating men that don't have a lot of money, that have potential, that treat them well, that have integrity. But I think there's also levels to that too. Like if you're going to date somebody that don't have money like that and y'all are willing to grow together, y'all both have to have the ambition and the potential and the motivation to actually, try to do better. Because then you get women that get with broke men who don't have any type of motivation to do better. Like they just like that's what they want to do. And now all broke men suck. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. I think it just depends on the man himself.
And I think when it comes to dating, you have those conversations like, what are you looking for, right? You ask those questions. What do you do for a career? So if he tells you he's a bus driver, you have a decision to make in that moment. Say, you know what, this is not what I want. But if you do want this, like we have to go the extra mile. We have to communicate, work together as a team to achieve those goals. Because any man who has a job in society, who has a 401k, who has a saving in a retirement fund, you are winning to me. Point blank, period. Right? That's just how I look at it. And I think the world is so backwards where you do have women who want all the glitz and glamour. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you got a 9-to-5 dude who's a school teacher, I'm not making no $100,000 a year. I can make a comfortable living for us to be happy, and we can combine our money together to move forward and like accomplish those things. But if I'm on a date and she tells me, oh, I need a rich man, good riddance. I'm not that guy. I know where I stand. I know my lane, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that.
Ow, come on,
I think right, and I think for myself, my father always taught me that you have to be going in the same direction in some way, shape, or form. So for me, when it came to my husband and I started dating, we were 18, 19 years old. We was both broke. We had shit, right? So I'm saying, but I knew my potential. I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted to do pretty early on out of life. And so for Robbie, he kind of struggled with trying to figure out what direction he wanted to go in. So I know for me, I gave his ass a deadline. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, you're gonna have to figure this out. You're gonna have to I don't, because he was kind of still trying to hang in the streets and, trying to follow his older cousin. So, I had to tell him like, listen, I don't date no dudes in the street like that. So you're gonna have to get yourself together. And he learned pretty early on that, that's not the direction she's headed in. So I need to get myself together. So I think it just depends. I'm kind of with Ashley on that. Why we need to have both. We definitely want to have that stability. As women, we want to have our own stability, but I can't date a man that's just sitting around while I'm making money. No, hell no. It don't work like that.
Well, bus drivers don't sit around. So, okay, everything you said, right? You was like, basically, I'm raising my standards, so come up here with me. Because I ain't dating no bums. I want somebody to have their stuff together because I'm going to have my stuff together. That was the key. You said, I'm going to have my stuff together. So if she owns a company, then she could say, well, only date him if he's going to own the bus. But if you ride the bus, or if you know somebody who do ride the bus and you're very close with them, and y'all might be in that space where, you know what I mean, you might be in between a bus ride and a car ride, then I don't think that you should be like, oh, I'll date somebody who owns a bus. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have standards, but at the same time, some women who state that, and I don't know about that lady who did that on Yama, are nickels out there looking for dimes. So if you out here and you know that you ain't like in the best financial status and you're looking for somebody in a higher financial status, then at the same time, what if somebody looked at you and was like, well, do she own the company or is she working for the company?
Right.
I feel like we be looking at people sideways and we ain't even all the way on our stuff either. And I'm not saying don't have standards. I'm just saying like you still got to kind of temper yourself.
You know what I thought about? What's the movie with Taraji P. Henson? And I think it was
like a man. Acrimony.
Yes, that was the first thing I thought about. Me and Robbie Robbie and I just had this conversation probably like yesterday, where he was like, think about Taraji P. Henson, where she had all the money and the guy was a dreamer. She was a dreamer, and Taraji P. Henson was more of a realist, right? Where she felt like, I got what I got, and he had all these dreams and things that he wanted. And I said to Robbie, I said, well, you know what? They had it was a really good mix. I think you have to be a dreamer to a certain degree and a realist. I think you got to have a little bit of both. I think they meshed well in that way. So it shouldn't have mattered.
It depends on what your dream is. You got people whose dream
is dream killer number one.
Listen, because I'm sorry, you have people who we went to school with who still trying to be rappers. Sir, get a damn job. Time to stop. Really. And I want to counter something Suge said, because Suge is usually the one that takes us biblical and traditional. Biblically, I'm not supposed to have what he has. Just because he owned the bus don't mean I'm supposed to own the bus. That ain't how it works. And even in the society we live in now, we know that men make more than women in the same job. Women been fighting for equal pay forever. So if I can't make more than you anyway, we ain't gonna be on equal footing. So why should I have to own a bus because I want you to own the bus company? I get what you're saying, but on that flip side, it's not even. If we talking traditional, everybody wants tradition, but they don't want to do their traditional part. You want a submissive woman, but she got to own a bus company too. No, sir. If you want submission, I got to own a bus company. I got to show up and be a submissive wife. That's what I got to do.
I'm letting y'all know right now, I'm a cry in the Phantom.
You go what?
We know you will. We know it.
Future said you're gonna cry in the Nissan or you're gonna cry in the Phantom. I'm gonna cry in the Phantom.
That Nissan gonna get you with from A to B. That's it.
I got a Nissan. I get 35 miles per gallon. I can go home on one trip of gas. Nissan Altima. And
okay,
with the chrome wheels. Ain't no hubcaps on it.
Tell her how you budget.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, Auntie Keish. Like, I'm telling you, I'd much rather be crying in the Phantom. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm being silly. But I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I done dated dudes who didn't have much as me, and I've had dated dudes who are six figures. I've been around pro athletes. I've been around producers. I've been around them all. They all the same. Period. That's just how I see it. They all the same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do what's best for me. And so if I want to go on a trip, you better have that money in hand. If I want to go to a basketball game, you better have that money in hand. That's it. I'm all up. Now, when I get serious with somebody, then we'll start talking about compatibility. Now, I don't know what that lady was trying to do. If she wanted to date the bus driver or the owner, depends on where she is in life. If she just want to have a good time, yeah, I'm going to date the owner because more than likely he's going to fund the lifestyle that I want at the time. But if I want to settle down with somebody, I'm going to look more at compatibility. Okay, how do you treat me? What are my emotional needs? How are you meeting my needs at this time? So for me, it depends on where I am in life. And right now, I'm being a hot girl. Hot girl summer is right around the corner. I'm getting the body together. And so now I want people to fund my life. So if I say I want to go somewhere on vacation, well, what you doing? Is we going? Oh, okay. I'll be doing that.
The reason why you get over here and say all of that is because you ain't no bum. That's why you can say all of that.
Okay, you got a point, Suge. You got a point.
I'm talking about for the people who ain't doing all of that and they still want all of that. Me, I knew when I met my husband, I was like, listen here, I'm on my way up. So what else you doing? And he was just like, oh, okay. And he gathered himself all the way together. I did not marry just for looks or anything like that. I married because I knew you'd be a good father. I married because of compatibility. I knew you would take care of your kids, and I knew you was going to be an earner. So I married because I saw the potential, and I saw the potential in motion. That's my thing. If I could see your potential in motion, that's one thing. Bus drivers have potential in motion. First of all, they work for the city. The city actually pays good. They pay a decent living. All of us working a 9 to 5 to stay alive. Mm-hmm. But if I'm somebody who only trying to have a hot girl summer on somebody else's pockets, and I need to go think about how I'm gonna fund my hot girl summer life and stop being like, oh dang, well I'm gonna date the bus driver, the owner. It's nice to be ambitious, but hopefully you can match that energy. And ain't nobody in the whole wide world ever in my life looked at no biblical principles when I looked at earning potential ever, because y'all already know how I give it up. I like stuff. I like to go on trips, and I want to date the person who owns the bus company too.
Right. And I'll say this. I don't force people. If you cannot do that, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to do all this extra. Well, you need to do that. If that's not where you want to be, I go where those men are at. If you're not there, okay, that's it.
And let's also be clear. Me, Auntie Amber, Auntie Shug, and Ashley, we're all married and we all got married and we've been with our significant others probably since our late teens, early 20s. That is a different station in life. All of us was broke. All of us had potential. All of us was on the come up. That is very different from people out here dating at 35 and 40. I don't need potential at 35 and 40. I need substance at 35 and 40.
Right.
Straight
But
up.
at 35 and 40, a lot of people washed up.
Hey, Shug got a point. Because the way I be looking at some of these people, I'll be like, no, wait a minute.
This is true. And I think we all have potential, right? I think everyone who comes into this world has potential. It's what you do with that potential once you realize what you have. Either you're going to use it or you're not going to use it. So when I think about like what all you ladies just said, like you guys definitely get like a lot of like good notes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to dating, like I don't think. Let me choose my words wisely. When it comes to dating, I think it's important to have those conversations, like as you date and have this conversation, like what are we trying to do? What are we trying to establish? That way there's no mix up, there's no gray areas. Like if you want a big house, you've told me this in the beginning stage. I know in my mind, I have a decision to make. I'm going to build this house or I'm going to buy a house. That way, everything is clear. I think with today's dating, I think people swing for the fences and there's no communication. So when it's a trip coming up and she's looking at you like, oh, pay for my trip. Well, you work too. Like I don't mind buying dinner, but like, where you half of the bread at? You know what I'm saying? But this is why you communicate. This is why you talk to express those things. Because when you talk, men should listen. And when men talk, women should listen. That way there's no gray areas across the table.
I like
you got to be prepared for hurdles too. I mean, you got to be prepared. Like just because you meet somebody and they might have it, you got to be prepared that they're gonna lose that shit. That it ain't always gonna be that fairy tale. It ain't always gonna be like when I was younger. Yeah, I wasn't before I got with my husband. I wasn't looking for no man, no broke dude. I wasn't. I mean, I had a few of them, but. There was something different. They had something different going on. But back I to me, like you either had it or I was letting you know right off the bat, like you had nothing for me.
I don't really know how to put it into words because I don't want it to come out like I don't know. But I guess what I'm thinking is I get real cringy when like all this it sounds like I want money. I want all these materials and I want to cry in a phantom because it's gonna make me feel better to cry in a phantom. For me, it's like I'm looking at the person like and how they're treating me, right? So do you want to cry every single day in a phantom? Or would you rather cry every now and then in a knee sign and this person's treating you right all these other times? Like I'm not trying to be all stressed out and emotionally fragile and unstable mentally because I want somebody that has money and I want to feel like I have stability, but they treating me like shit. So I'm crying in my phantom every night. Like that's just not me. Like I'm looking at the person. How are you treating me? Even if we're not dating, even if I just met you, like that's the stuff I look for. But then you have a lot of women that are looking like when you meet this person, I'm looking at your shoes to see what kind of shoes you got on. I'm looking at what kind of car you driving. I'm looking at if you got jewelry on your arm or around your neck or not. Like that's what you're searching for. And then when you get men that fucking suck, you start to say every man in this world sucks. They're all the same. They all suck. And it's because you are tunnel vision on money, materials, this, that, and the other. So it just makes me feel all like, because I want women to know like you deserve to be treated well. And it goes to a certain extent, right? You don't want to be with a man who just broke living on everybody's couch all the time with all these dreams. Like Auntie Ashley saying, I want to see you moving. I mean, Auntie Ashley Green, I want to see you. I want to see you moving. I want to see you doing something that ain't for me. That's cool. But you can't just expect that every person that you meet is just going to be right where you want them to be. And this is what I want. And that's what I'm going for. And then get mad when it ain't what you think it was going to be.
I feel like that's
I'm
all
what?
conversation that
Jarod
Black
mentioned
men
that.
have.
Jarod, you said something about communication, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what it
communicate.
is. It's one thing. So, like for me, I think I'm basing, my previous experience off people that just wasn't going nowhere in life, and I'm just like, but I think that if you can see the potential, if you could see what direction they're trying to go in, it's when that whole like dreamer to a certain degree comes in. Like if they intend to move in the same direction as you, then yeah, it will work.
And how about don't like the whole, I mean, Auntie Keisha was joking with the I'd rather cry in a phantom, but how about don't make me cry at all? Like, yeah, we might have some hard times.
It was serious.
She was dead ass.
Yeah. Me? I was dead ass.
She said it was serious. I was giving
Crying
you
in phantom.
I definitely rather cry in a phantom.
In my experience, I've dealt with men who had money, and it wasn't because I was looking for them. They offered. That's a difference.
That's different.
Men offer me.
That's
I don't go looking for it. They offer me, and those experiences have shaped my way of picking partners. I don't have to worry about even. And let me say this, and I want everybody to know this. Even if the man don't make six figures, I still have men wanting to make sure I'm okay financially, even if they don't got it. That's the difference. And men will, you know that quote, if they wanted to, they would. And I had it happen on both ends. So I think it's more about who you are as a person and as a woman and what you're liked, what you're giving off for people to do that for you. Now, for me, I'm funny as shit. So of course people gonna want to take care of me because I'm funny, but I'm also loyal. I'm also loyal. I'm loyal to people who loyal to me. And they saw that and they felt like, okay, I'm gonna take care of her like she wants to be taken care of. And that is what I get in return.
It's been some times where we've been broke, even before we got married, but he always made a way to get what he knew I wanted when it came to birthdays or special occasions or even random times. It's like a man gonna do what they want to do for the one they want to do it for.
Okay.
And I don't want people crying at all. I would rather you be happy more than sad. But at the end of the day, that's how it goes. And really, this speaks to what do we teach people? And teachers teach people. Teachers have impact in people's lives, just like parents do. Parents are the first teachers to their children. So we are teaching our children what to look for when they date. And teachers, they do it on the other end. A lot of teachers step in and they become family to kids. So that is what we're going to be talking about today in our main dish. We are going to be appreciating our teachers, and we have two people in the education field with a lot of experience. So let's get into our main dish.
All right, so let's hop into this main dish. And today we have two teachers on here. We have Ashley and Jarod. Jarod is a teacher of first grade math. And kudos to you, Jarod, because guess what? The world is looking for Black male teachers. And so I don't think we get enough of them. Thank you for everything that you do, even in Teacher Appreciation Week or month. Might be the month. But thank you for everything that you do, because we are always looking for people like you, and we actually need more. Now on to Ashley. Ashley has an extensive background in teaching, which is helping her even out in mental health and just helping her teach other people. So yeah, let's talk about some things that you guys encounter and have encountered in education. Because I know, Ashley, you did education for a long time, and Ashley has a temperament like mine. However, so because her temperament is like mine, I really do love to hear her perspective, especially when talking about kids, because not only do you have to deal with kids, you have to deal with their parents and everything too. So it's really this should be a pretty well-rounded subject when we come to talking about teachers and appreciation. We all love you, by the way, even though teachers sometimes get on my nerves because I'm a parent. I'm the parent too. So that's why I can't wait to hear all that perspective from both of you guys.
When it comes to teaching, I think the biggest thing is, well, even for that, in elementary, you don't see a lot of Black males at all. You don't. It's usually Black women, Caucasian men. When you look at the Black male education, you see them like as a gym teacher or a dean of students or a basketball coach or a football coach. It's very rare you see a teacher in elementary. So when I started off teaching, my principal, she was like, "You are a rare breed." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You're a Black male that's going to help Black kids who don't have a dad or a mom or whatever. And it took me a while to realize that. I think once I started teaching, you don't realize the impact you have on kids, like from them walking into the door, giving you a hug every single day. Like, I did this last night. I got a game. Are you coming? You know, you start to do these roles. It's like, wow, like you become a father. You become a father, a brother, an uncle, a mom. You do it all. You braid hair. You lay edges down. You pull out teeth. You do all these things where you realize, like, man, like I am a father to all these 27 little kids in here. Granted, they do get on my nerves. But at the end of the day, like if they ever needed me for something, like they have my number. And once you build that relationship with them, and then you build that relationship with their parents, as a teacher, my job to communicate with parents is so easy. Like there's no gray areas. They know what they're working on. They know they need to be pushed on. I'm very clear. I'm very honest because I want these kids to move on to second grade with all the tools and skills that I know that I got from my parents that I passed on to them. So one big thing that helped me out is growing up as a kid, right? Ashley can identify to this. When you grow up in 1055 Garden Avenue and you talk back, you ask why, you probably was getting your face beat in. It's just a generational curse. Now, when you fast forward time, these kids ask why because they don't know why. They don't know. So I give my kids the opportunity to tell me why they did what they did before I tell them they were right or wrong. And me doing that the last 7 years, I have had nothing but smooth relationships with all my kids and parents because I give them a chance to be themselves. I take them for who they are, whether you have ADHD, whether it's mood swings, whether you have an IEP or a 504. I don't look at any of that. When you come in my classroom, you are a student. You are my child. You are my sibling. I'm going to protect you at all costs, from a fire drill to whatever it is. My first line of defense is to protect them. So when you establish that and parents realize that, they do become forever indebted to you because you see those kids all day, after school, before school, tutoring. I spend most of my time at work than I do at my own place.
Jarod, I got a question.
Mhm.
You in there pulling out teeth
And
Oh,
laying
yeah.
edges?
Yeah. First
and
grade.
laying edges down?
Laying
Suge,
edges.
I got peed on, girl.
I got a little brush.
You know.
Pro. I got
Peed
baby
on.
oil. I got
I did
lotion,
special ed,
the
so that
whole
was a little
the whole work. So them kids come in ashy, go lotion up. I hate ashy kids. Go get lotion right now. Like go clean your face. I got chapstick. Listen, I can come to school, like come to learn. So when you create that home environment, kids feel at home, you know.
You won't be mad at Asa. He stay ashy. Continue.
Ashy right now.
Ashy
You know what,
kids.
Gerard?
Crazy.
You know what, Gerard? I love that you said that, that your communication with your parents was great, but you know why? Because you are a Black male. Because you are a Black male and they don't see it that often, your communication with parents is probably A1. Now, I struggled. I struggled as a Black woman working, and at this time I was in Lackawanna, where the center, it made up of majority Arabic kids and Black kids, where the mothers in particular, they struggled seeing my face in this classroom. Now, with the kids, I had a good relationship, but they were like really resistant to me. And it was because I was a Black woman. I'm telling you, they really was like, well, who does she think she is? Looking for every little thing to like be combative over, right? So I remember, and I'm going to talk specifically about a situation that I had. I had a kid who was a runner. This is in preschool setting. They were ages 4 and 5. So this kid was a runner. And this kid ran literally out of the classroom, almost out into the busiest street in Lackawanna. Like, this is how far this kid got. Now, mind you, I was pregnant at the time with my daughter, with my oldest daughter. So I'm running out, right? The kid almost hit this busy intersection, and I literally grabbed her, like fell on top of her to keep her from going into traffic, from killing herself, right? What happened the next day? Mom comes in. Who put their hands on my daughter? That's what I got. It wasn't, she was fully aware that her child was a runner and the situation, but she literally was like, trying to run up on me because she thought that I said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. It was either I was going to tackle her to keep her from going in the street, because we would have been having a different phone call. And that is something that I'm very passionate about children. And I made it real clear to Mom, like, I care about your kids as if they're my own. At that moment, her and I had an understanding, but our communication, she struggled with me. She absolutely did. And it was because she just was like, well, who she thinks she is coming in here? So Jarod, as a Black man, it's the communication part is definitely easier.
Yeah. And I think a common thing that, well, I work with parents as well, doing psychological evaluations for their kids. And one of the things I hear a lot about teachers, well, from a parent's perspective, is, they should only be focusing on teaching my child. Like, why are they worried about, my kid's home life? Why are they worried about something that happened, in the store the other day? Like, they shouldn't be worried about that. They should only be worried about academics. And that's a common thing that parents think, but they don't realize that you have to work with these kids and their personalities. They all have different personalities. And if you don't build that type of relationship with them, if they don't feel like they can trust you, or if they don't feel like you're being genuine with them, that gives you more problem. Like, you're not able to teach them anything. They're not able to learn. So like Jarod was saying, you do some of these things, and it sounds like it's more of a cultural thing. Like, put some lotion on, let me fix your edges so you don't get picked on by other kids, right? Building that trust and that relationship, and being able to have a healthy teaching relationship with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I worked in a school during my postdoc year, and I had a newfound respect for teachers and the type of things that they went through daily. And I know we'll get to it in a different episode where we talk about not my kid. And after that year, I was like, no, that was your kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was your kid up in there acting up in the classroom, being a class clown. And the amount of times I hear, stop, sit down, go over there, quit touching them, stop running, lower your voice, I told you to do this. Like, it's literally sound like that all day. So I was wondering if those type of things happen, or you guys say those things constantly.
Absolutely. I'm like,
Absolutely.
sit down 700 times a day. And it's like, please stop talking. I wasn't talking. I see you talking. I see you. Just stop talking. Fine, Mr. Renford. So you got attitude now? Yes, because I can never express myself. Well, come here. So now we got to talk. But yeah, you say the same things over and over and over. And when you work with elementary kids, you have to have a lot of patience. Like, whether it's just getting them, get your homework, tie your shoe, push in your chair, clean your desk off. It's just like, now I wrote it all on the board for them. Rule 1, push my chair in. There you go. I gotta say it no more. We all know what the rule 1 is, so. And I think it's heavy lifting, giving those kids a responsibility at an early age. Hey, this is your classroom. Just keep it clean. It's not my job. My desk is always clean. You keep your area clean. And you start to share power, and kids really take on to that. And they embrace that. I'm home. I clean my room. You clean your room? Give me a hug, because you starting to get it. So when you teaching, it's not only teaching, but you're giving these kids life skills throughout the day.
Skills.
How to communicate, how to advocate, how to be a friend. What does a friend look like? Like, you just learn to do these things. And when I was growing up, I might have had 1 or 2 teachers who I gravitated towards like that. But looking now, like, these kids, they come with so much baggage at times. Like, you have to really protect them and show them, hey, you don't gotta be on 10 all the time. Like, just calm down. Like, you're not gonna get in trouble. Just relax. And once kids feel comfortable, like, within your presence, they will tell you any and everything.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Jarod. Like, you being a Black male, I know that we do talk about how teachers do. How schools do need Black males. Some people, and I know people who have a lot of problems with males as teachers, or especially Black males, because they think that you guys are aggressive, right? So, like, when you say, give me a hug, do you have problems with things like that where? Because everybody comes with their own baggage, where kids might have been molested or their parents, and or do people look at you weird because you are affectionate and all of that?
So what I like, before the school year starts, I get a report on all my kids. I look at what kids need the most attention, what kids can like I actually find. So the kids who might have a lot of like different baggages, I really tend to focus on them the most, whether it's like, hey, a handshake, a hug, or a high five to start our morning. And then throughout the day, it's like, Mr. Smith, I just need a hug. All right, cool. Come give me a hug. You know what I'm saying? And I communicate with parents, hey, I'm a hugger. Like when you work with those kids, you have to be like, you have to show emotions all the time. You can't be mean. You can't go in there yelling and screaming because they get that at home. Like my job is not to yell and scream. My job is to teach you, love you, nurture you, do all the things that like my parents told me, my grandparents, and just give those kids an opportunity. So yeah, so you might have parents who may not agree with like your approach. I remember when school first started a couple years ago, I had this second grade student. This kid was just bad as hell. I'm gonna say kid was just bad as hell. And he was a fighter. Look at him, he want to fight you, he cuss you out, this, that, and the third. I remember being in the mall one time. I got my headphones in, I'm shopping, I'm in Macy's, and I hear Mr. Renford, Mr. Renford. I'm like, Lord, what kid is it now? Lo and behold, it's that kid. Runs up, jumps on me, gives me the biggest hug. And I'm just like, you just cussed me out on Friday. And he was like, I'm happy to see you. Like, I'm with my mom, and I look at her, and she got like this stank look. I'm like, look, like, go back to your mom. I talked to mom. I said, hey, he had a rough day on Friday. I gave him a pass, right? And she was like, at the end of the year, she's like, Mr. River, thank you for always just being who you were to my kids. She was like, it was tough. Like, I wasn't used to a male role model being positive, calling me with good and bad reports, pushing my kids. She was like, I never had that. And she's like, when you came into his life, she's like, I just put you in a category with like his father. And I'm like, well, I appreciate the honesty. I was like, but that's not who I am. And from that moment there, probably my best family, one of my best families, hands down. I get birthday invitations. I get something for my birthday every year. I get a Christmas card. I get every time there's a holiday, I get something from them, whether it's a FaceTime. And it just goes to show you, like, it's a marathon when it comes to teaching. Like, it is a long marathon.
Yeah.
Good.
It really is. It's about making that connection. Auntie Keish, you mentioned something about sit down, like, the constant repeating yourself. Our school year starts in September. From September to December, you're working on straight up social emotional skills. Because a lot of the kids come in, they have no idea how to regulate most adults don't know how to regulate their own behaviors and their emotions and their feelings. So a lot of that is you're pretty much working on the classroom rules for the first 4 months of the year. So that's where their teaching life, it kind of collides with their home life, because like you said, Jarod, we're teaching life skills right now. So we're working on really learning how to sit down in a chair for a period of time, or learning those routines. Routines is everything in a classroom from that first couple months that you have them. I have a story as well. She was a 10-year-old girl. Now, mind you, she had already been held back in the 5th grade. And when I came in, this was actually my student teaching experience. And when I came in, she was the problem child. She was the one that the teacher had a really hard time with. And I remember first day she came in, and I said, oh, I was trying to be all bubblegum and all Lockport, y'all. I came in there, and then I was like, oh, are you going to do your bell work? She looked at me. She said, when I feel like it, right? So at the end of the day, I'm sitting at the computer. She comes next to me. Come to find out, she ends up telling me that her mother's on drugs, right? And she was upset because she gets tired of her mom leaving her. After school, she goes home and she don't have nobody to go to. Her mom's never there. Guess what I did? Well, I'm going to tell you my story. And I sat down with her and I told her, I said, I grew up, my mother was on drugs as well. And I kind of gave her that non-teacher, in me. I gave her the real. Do you know I never had a problem with her after that? She ended up she would walk me to my car when I left. To this day, I think I got a Facebook request from her a couple years ago. She grown now, but I think it's about making that connection with kids and showing them that, there's life outside of being a teacher. And guess what? There is also, you can survive these things. They have to be taught that too.
Yeah, and I think that the expectation, I think it's changing slowly over time, but the expectation used to be that You know, even if kids are going through things at home, when you get to school, all of that is out the door. You need to focus, you need to sit in class, you need to learn. And now teachers and administrators are slowly starting to learn, like, oh, that's not the case. Kids can't do that. They can't compartmentalize like that. So, you know, schools are now introducing things like therapeutic day treatment services where kids have counselors in the school setting to help them manage, you know, their emotions and feelings about things so that they can return back to class and learn. They also have, I believe, what you're doing, Ashley, the caseworkers, is that part of their job as well to help out with? Can you talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
they
their
have a
role in
lot
the
of
setting, in the school setting?
yeah, they have a lot of homeschool connection where they go into the classrooms and just kind of work with them to you know, kind of try to work on some of those behaviors and some of the things that's going on at home.
So I appreciate the way that both of y'all go about it because I think that when we were growing up, we didn't have those teachers like that. So I was one of those kids who, you know, who had a parent on drugs, who life was just lifing like throughout childhood. And it was just like, never did I have an adult or a kid to, or a teacher to be like, what's wrong? Never. I remember I called my teacher a bitch. And obviously, if we would have seen something like that, we might be like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I got my butt whooped, got the beat down. That's number one. And then number two, nobody ever said, well, is she? Well, do you think she is? Well, who does she remind you of? Well, why would you say something like that? Well, what did she say to you? Like, nobody ever sat down and asked these questions. So you get a 12-year-old who's in class and they call the teacher a bitch. It was Miss Jowdy. Actually, remember I called Miss Jowdy a bitch? Called her a bitch. And it was like nobody was like,
I love Miss Jowdy.
I couldn't stand her. Nobody was like, what's wrong with you? But like, she was a teacher who saw that I had social emotional problems and she did not care. It was like, do your work because I said do your work. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody was talking, it had to be me. You know what I mean? So sometimes teachers zero in on certain kids. And then if you are already a kid that comes with an attitude, now you're getting on my attitude because right now it's not even me. And then I don't know how to emotionally regulate. So right now you could be getting called anything because I'm at the point to where I'm about to blow up on the inside. All I listened to Tupac was Tupac growing up because it was kind of like the things that he used to say. I was like, dang, I feel like that. And so it's
That's
like
why
nobody.
her and Robbie related. Lord, y'all
Yes,
angry. Y'all listen
we
to
was.
Tupac.
Y'all angry.
But like if you listen to the things that Tupac was saying, he was talking his talk. He's like, what is the matter with these kids? Why are they like this? And so the way that Jarod is like, if they ask you, I'm gonna put lotion on. I was ashy sometimes, ashy knuckles and everything. They got the nickname, and like nobody was like taking care of me like that. So I think today we're much better off. I think our generation, they like to say, you know, we not soft, we the harder generation, but some of that stuff does need to be taken out because you do have kids with problems that don't get addressed just because
We
teachers don't
grew
have
up.
it.
It
And
truly
grew
is
up
because when
different.
we grew up, though, we had white teachers, though, y'all. How many black teachers we could count on one hand at the high school level? We had a couple of black teachers, but for the most part, they're mostly white. Let me tell you, my daughter goes to a school, and you know, Jarod, Shug, and Ashley, you know, Gaskill. Gaskill is a predominantly black school with black kids. There's not one black teacher. That to me was pretty alarming when I came in there. I couldn't understand it. And I remember you know, the superintendent saying to me, well, they're not applying. Nah, yes, they are. Yeah, they are. There's a disconnect somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
again, we could get into that because our school districts is very politically you know,
Yeah, and
they're
that's where I was going. That's
and
where I was
stuff
going.
like that. There's no teachers that look like us. So what teacher is going to look at a black child and say, a white teacher going to look at a black child and say, you know, you Ashley, come here, you need some lotion. Now they do have a counselor there who is black, who is there every morning that will do their hair. If kids come in and like, you know, when their little ponytails fall out and they need their hair in French braids, and she will do that for them. And I do appreciate her. But for the most part, they don't have that. They don't have people that look like them. And that kind of
Yeah, and I
pisses
think
me off.
we do have a lot of. Oh, I'm sorry, but we have a lot of. We had like I think I had depression as a kid because of everything I was going through, or just sad. And so like it was, I had depression because it's like I mean, I got to see some things that I shouldn't have to see. I shouldn't be this exposed at this young of age, and then I got to go to school and I go get picked on from my exposure, and I don't have a lot of friends because I don't like a lot of people, and I don't make friends easily because I got anxiety about trying to be friends with people. So it's like there's all these things that we have, and like you said, there's no black teachers because black people, we present with our depression differently. I can look at a black kid and be like, ain't nothing wrong with him. He don't have ADHD, or he don't have this, or he don't have that. He has this going on, and instead of being like, all right, little Johnny, maybe you shouldn't do like this. We didn't have anybody to meet us where we were. And so I look aggressive, but I'm not aggressive. I'm frustrated.
I will say, just based off what Auntie Shook said, people back in the day, even our parents, like Ashley said, it's generational. They couldn't do what they didn't know. They didn't understand certain things. We grew up with parents that were, do as I say, period, point blank. I'm the adult, I'm the authority. It was more authoritative parenting and teaching. It wasn't I care about how you feel. I hear that even today from parents, like, what's she got to be sad for? What's she got to be depressed for? They find they got food on the table and clothes on their back, and it's like, but something's wrong, and you're not checking in with that. So I kind of try to give grace to old school teachers and parents, because not all of it was bad or wrong. They just didn't know. A lot of it they didn't know. And now that we know, it's like when you're dealing with older teachers now, some of them set in their ways, and maybe they need to retire because they can't handle it anymore. But you have to be willing to search for what's going on with these kids. But my last question for Ashley and Jarod, and then we kind of go into our foil. I wanted to come from the administrative level. Like, we've been talking about how you interact with the children and how that goes and the parents. But as two Black people, a Black man and a Black woman who worked in education, how hard was it to be authentic to yourself and have integrity dealing with white school boards or mostly white administration, where they might not understand the suggestion you make for the Black students in your class? They may not understand, my Black students need hugs. No physical contact with the children. Like, they might not understand that. So how hard is that to maneuver in the education field?
I am a rule bender. If my kids need something and I know what they need, I'm gonna give it to them, regardless of like what higher ups say. If I know that kid and that family, I'm going to give that kid what they need to be successful for that day or that month or year, whatever the case might be.
Same. I'm going to echo what Jarod said. I was an absolute rule bender, which is probably why I don't teach anymore, because I didn't give a shit what they said. I did what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and I'll deal with the consequences later if it worked for that child.
I love to hear that. I mean, I'm the most rule following person probably of all of us on here, but I love to hear that, like, the kid comes first. The kid comes first, and then after that, we're going to deal with whatever. And what does that tell you about the system? Like, if I have to keep bending the rules constantly to help my kids function better, to help my kids be successful, then the rules need to change. Like, y'all need to listen to what we're saying as teachers, because we work with the kids. I'm not a teacher. I'm just putting that in perspective. Anywho, so we're going to go ahead and transition to the foil. So Ashley and Jarod can give y'all a little, tidbit of information to take home with you.
I would say, as a parent, always pour into your children positivity, no matter what they're going through. Just pour positivity into them and encourage them just to be better than they were yesterday, and just provide like a safe haven for them.
I have to echo what you said, Jarod. Just being a positive force in your child's life. And as a teacher, just making sure that you put that child first, regardless, no matter what. And honestly, the best advice I'm going to give to teachers out there: take advantage of that 6 hours that you have with that child. You can't focus on the negative things that's going on at home. Take advantage of the time that you have and be impactful in that 6 hours. That's all I have.
All right, y'all. So Ashley and Jarod were amazing. We probably gonna have them back on again at some point because they were great guests. But thank y'all so much for talking with us about teachers today. We here at the Clinical Cookout truly appreciate our teachers, and thank you for everything that you do. So with that, we are gonna close out. So Auntie Shook, tell the people.
I just got a question before we close out. What y'all about to do?
First of all,
Oh,
you got on your fucking t-shirt, and y'all got on black shirts. Son of a fucking bitch.
All
Look
over
at
it.
this. Like y'all all got on black but me.
Why?
Because you out here watching basketball like the common.
And you're gonna wait till we start recording to say that. Y'all always got some foolery the second I press record. We was ready. We was ready, and then I
Y'all here
clicked
look like
record.
he got game. Yeah.
Can I at least throw on my black shirt?
Hold on,
It's right there.
This is why we take forever recording, but we doing better these days.
Yeah, that was good.
Teachers teach.
Teacher.
And just so y'all know, and just so you hoes know, I'm gonna cry in the Phantom because that fucking Phantom gonna take me to the next nigga. That's so you know.
Keish, I wasn't coming for you, okay? I was just saying.
The Nissan is broke down. It ain't gonna get me to the next nigga. I'm just saying, the Nissan is shaking. The Phantom is gonna get me there for sure.
Gerard was hit the whole time. Like, hey, Nissan.
Did she say it? Did she have to say it? She just said any other car.
Y'all ready for the main dish?
Yeah.
Yes. Amber can't get it together.
I love y'all.
My
That's
Nissan don't have no
why.
hubcaps. I got the cross Like I got a good Nissan. What you talking about?
Said I can make it from Maryland to Niagara Falls on one tank of gas, nigga. This is life.
Period, bro.
Listen, okay, Gerard, put me in check. Let me know about that Nissan.
It's
Yeah,
stable.
I mean, you got the basic model, you got the sports model, and that's all you get. You know, you get the sports model. It's up there, but ain't no Phantom. But you know, it's push to start. You know, sunroof. Not no stars in there yet, but we can put some stars in there. We can definitely-
Who introducing? Sheila, you introducing this part? Okay, cool.
No, because she was gonna say what we introduced it.
Teacher Appreciation Week.
Okay. Gerard, you still
Yeah.
teaching, right?
Yeah,
Okay. What grade?
He said it.
first grade math.
Okay. And then Ashley.
You teach first grade?
No, I do not teach
I'm a-
anymore.
See, Keisha wasn't paying attention either.
What?
Y'all didn't listen to their intro at all, did you?